Reginald here with another Chain Axe Masterclass. I am your resident Chaxpert, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about fighting the Plague Ogryn. And these tips should work for any other weapon just fine, as the chain weapons are probably the hardest to take into these fights due to the latching mechanics. The Plague Ogryn has 6 attacks, has a charge, a flurry of 3 blows, a pound overhead strike, an uppercut, and a stomp. And finally, it has whatever the heck this is. Honestly, I'm feeling a bit harassed here. Do I need to go to HR on this one? For those veterans of Vermintide 2, or those people who have watched Riken's video on the Plague Ogryn, you can do the dance with this thing and walk into it to get it to regularly do those stomps and overheads. The big question on this is, where the heck do I stick these rev attacks relative to my lights? Lights are easy enough to sneak in. You can sneak them in after any combo, and it's fairly safe. The big thing to note with latching attacks is that after the changes to dodge out functionality, you can now safely use light attacks continuously into the Plague Ogryn while fighting it. But for these rev attacks, you still want to try and finish the rev attack to get maximized damage, unless you're using Bloodletter, which I always do on my Chain Axe, in which case just tapping it quick is a good way to get a lot of damage for free. In any case, even though you can dodge out of the rev attacks, it's still best to try and get the maximum value. The safest time to use them on the Plague Ogryn is just after it finishes one of its attack chains, usually one of the ground pounds if you're close to it, or one of the flurries. Usually it won't initiate another one of those right away, and you're usually able to get most of the damage, if not all of it, out of a full rev attack. If the Plague Ogryn throws a fastball at you, keep an eye out, because you'll want to be able to dodge out of that quickly. Another trick of mine is to avoid using latching attacks anytime I don't have full toughness. You can always tank at least one hit from the Plague Ogryn if you have full toughness, but the second you're down on toughness even by 1 point, you'll take some damage and corruption. Honestly, that's really all there is to it. It's a very simple enemy to fight once you understand its attack patterns and know how to leverage them. Moving up close to it will cause it to use the same attacks over and over again, so you can kind of just sit there and dance with it until it gets aggro on someone else. However, if you're doing some sort of challenge content, like a duo or something like that, you're going to want to know how aggro works for these. Aggro follows the person who's doing the most damage on the Plague Ogryn and the Beast of Nurgle. For something like a duo, it's often best just to allow the person who has aggro continue to maintain that aggro until they solo that boss. Usually weakened monstrosities are fairly easy to kill anyway, and so that person should be able to get the job done by themselves, while you keep the more dangerous targets off of them like disablers. Like my other videos on this subject, I'm going to leave a few examples here. I have one from live games, and just for completion's sake, I will leave on an example of the dueling sword in parallel to an example of the eviscerator. This way, a few more weapons get brought into the pile. With that, have a lovely day. Thanks so much for visiting. Goodbye.
Plogryn died.